Hey friend, Brandon here. We have not one exclusive image or Google Pixel 6 Pro leak, but multiple leaks. Some of these leaks are some of the most requested things that you've asked me to find out, like a video of the curved screen with a white background on, information about the camera app, and yes, even verified images and videos from the Google Pixel 6 Pro. Yes, I have images and videos from the Google Pixel 6 Pro. Crazy! I'm trying to get more information for all of you, so please leave a comment on what else you want me to try to find out, and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified when I post another video. Now, some of you know that the source is from Nigeria, which I never thought we'd get Google Pixel leaks from Nigeria. And because of the nature of how leaks work, it's my job to protect my sources. So one of the things that can help my source protect their identity is using a VPN to obscure their IP address to help them from being tracked, like the one from this video sponsor, NordVPN. Not only does a VPN help you obscure your internet usage from surveillance and tracking, but it makes it super easy to unlock region block content so you can watch that show that's available on your favorite streaming service. But thankfully, NordVPN makes it super easy to use with a single click, so even your parents or probably your grandparents can probably figure out how to use it. On top of that, it has over 5,100 servers in 60 countries around the world, so it can make it look like you're located in any number of places, which if you like crypto, you know how helpful it is to have a VPN, even if you live in the United States and need to look like you live in another state. Speaking of crypto, you can even purchase NordVPN in Bitcoin. What a time to be alive. Everyone needs a VPN, and I haven't noticed any notable impact on my internet speeds, which is really important to me. So if you use the link in the description, you can get a 2-year plan plus an additional 4 months free. Support the channel by signing up, as it helps provide funding for videos like this for you for free, or at least click the link to check it out, because that helps too. And thanks to NordVPN for supporting the channel so I can start hiring help and trying to pay them a respectful wage, which is really important to me. Now, a lot of you that saw my first hands-on video leak of the Google Pixel 6 Pro saw that the front of the device had a curved screen. I read your comments and your tweets and saw that some of you were especially concerned because it looked a bit more extreme for a curve than most people would have been okay with, especially if you don't like curved screens. In my Discord community, there's a link in the description to join, they asked me if I could get a video of the curve with a white screen. Thankfully, my source was able to provide a video of just that for me. In this exclusive video, we can see that the curve doesn't wrap around deep into the edges of the phone, but has more of a curve that's similar to that of an S21 Ultra than what you would see in an old Samsung device when curves were just becoming a thing. Honestly, I think that's the best type of curve you could have if you have a curved screen. Conveniently, I have the Vivo X70 Pro Plus, which has a Samsung E5 panel on it, just like the Google Pixel 6 Pro will have, according to Ross Young, and this one has a slightly stronger curve on it compared to the S21 Ultra. That seems to be more like what we're seeing in this video. Most of the screen is flat with a curve at just the very edges, and most of the curve is just glass, which gives it a better feel in the hand. On the Vivo X70 Pro Plus, the curve is on the front and back, and it makes it feel significantly thinner and easier to hold than even the S21 Ultra. So hopefully the Pixel 6 Pro has a similar feel in the hand, because this phone, it just feels incredible. Oh, and let's hope the palm rejection is as good as on the Vivo, because this thing, it just may be flawless. So what do you think of the curve? Is it better than you had imagined? How do you feel about it not being an insane curve like phones used to be? Also, here's a close-up of the front-facing earpiece speaker. This has a dedicated speaker cutout instead of the piezoelectric speaker that was built into the screen of the Pixel 5 that wasn't so great. And I'm not saying that just because I'm an audio engineer, it's just, it was bad. Now we get to find out more about the cameras. First, I need to preface this by saying that this version of the camera app does not seem to have some of the features found in Michelle's recent camera app exploration. There could be a number of reasons for this, but it's likely that Google is not pushing all the software features to the Google Pixel 6 until a later unknown time in order to make sure that they don't leak out and probably practically continue to work on them until their go live date. Now in the video, we see the rear facing lenses have a zoom range that goes between 0.7x, 1x, 2x, and 4x in the photo mode. In the video mode, it has a 0.7x, 1x, and 4x zoom modes. In the camera settings, we see a lot of other features that, from what I can tell, are the same types of features that are currently available on the Google Pixel 5 and other Google Pixel devices like audio zoom, familiar faces, stabilization, and more. For portrait mode, it defaults to 2.8x mode, but it also has a 1x mode, which is really nice. Now, let's look at the photos and videos, but before we look at them, I have to preface this as well and say that my source isn't a photographer, videographer, content creator, or reviewer. They're just a random person just taking pictures and videos willy-nilly, so don't expect that they'll frame things in the best way possible or anything. In addition, this is pre-production software. Remember how the camera app doesn't have everything? That means that you should not, I repeat, should not base your buying decision or conclusions on the quality of the images or video off of these samples. You got it? Amateur camera user and pre-production software. Got it? Good. Okay, for the not so great photos that were sent through social media, the rest were sent properly to me, but we still need to look at these. They're helpful. Here we have images of what the images look like in a dimly lit room at 1x, 2x, and 4x. Now for these images, we do indeed have the photo metadata that shows that this is from the Google Pixel 6 Pro, as well as the settings it's shooting at. I've covered up some of the metadata to protect my source. Alright, let's look at this green building. Now we have some photos taken around 2:30 p.m. local time on what looks to be an overcast day. We can see a lot of detail in this image, especially on the road. Even the corners of the image look great. We also have that great contrast we love from Pixel phones. What's crazy is that you can zoom in so much and see the design of the porch light on the ceiling in this image, and it doesn't crush the shadows or make this guy look super weird in HDR blue like on the iPhone. Now this shot is taken with portrait mode. Again, the detail on this is really quite good and the cutout is really great. To be fair though, this isn't something super hard like someone's hair, but I will say that I still like the way Google handles portrait mode way better than the iPhone, both in the cutout and the way the bokeh looks. Also, the background of this image still shows that the image isn't crushed or blown out. Now, if you want another portrait mode photo but of people, I have an extra bonus picture that's available in our This Is Tech Today Discord chat server, so come join us there. It's of the source's kids, and I honestly didn't feel right posting it in this video where everyone can see it, and well, that's not really what I prefer, but you get to see what portrait mode looks on them, so I guess check it out by clicking the link in the description. Now for this next image, we can see that this overcast day doesn't really exactly make the colors pop in this image, but it seems to be more true to life in terms of the color compared to something overly saturated like you'd see on maybe older Samsung phones. Again, we see in the shadows that they're not crushed like what we see on an iPhone, but we see a lot of detail and the sky looks natural. There's even enough detail that you can see the person all the way in the distance and even the grille of this Toyota SUV. I even think that's a BMW behind that, so the fact that I can tell that is not too shabby. Now this next one I believe to be a wide angle shot because it's taken an f2.2 aperture instead of the typical f1.85 aperture, and because of the next image which looks less wide. Also, there's a bit of that wide angle distortion around the edges. Now with that said, there's a crazy amount of detail in this image still. The fact that I can read the numbers on the sign all the way back here is pretty amazing. On top of that, it still maintains that uncrushed look in the shadows with a natural looking sky. Look at this person in the back here waiting. Keep this in mind. Now, here's the normal lens zoomed in on that same person. Way more detail and clarity. Again, tons of detail to the point that you can see how dirty this window is. Colors are again not oversaturated and seem to be natural. Now, as I look at more and more of these photos, I honestly can't tell if this is capturing how overcast the day is or if the phone just tends to expose darker. So that's something I'll have to find out once I get the device in my hands for review. For now, maybe it's just a realistic capture of what it looked like. Now we have an indoor shot, and we can see that despite the shutter speed being much slower at 1/100 compared to over 1000 like in the outdoor shots, it still isn't blurry despite the source taking a shot while walking around. You can even see the text in the sign up top saying N20 million worth of items to be won. Now I have two bonus shots that you can check out on my Instagram. Now they're pretty similar to what I've already showed you here, but I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be, but I still want to make it available to you, so go check me out at This Is Tech Today on Instagram. Now for video, we have two to look at. It's in 1080p 60 frames per second, and they're both filmed in portrait mode instead of landscape, and you know, we'll just roll with it and be thankful for what we have, okay? Now this first video was recorded at about 3:30 p.m. with the ultra wide camera. It's actually the lead up to some of those images that we looked at earlier. Stabilization looks pretty good, but you can definitely feel every step the source is taking. I imagine maybe he's just holding it next to his body around hip level and or chest level and just kind of walking around. So if we're being fair, I don't think they're really trying to hold it stable either. And then it moves from ultra wide to the normal camera. Now we are seeing some interesting flickering in the sky, so that's not exactly great. Now this next one was taken at 6:30 in the morning after a rain. Again, I really wish we could get some shots in the direct sunlight, but we'll have to deal with a pretty dull looking overcast. This one is also filmed in 1080p 60 frames per second in portrait instead of landscape mode. We can see a lot of shakes from them walking in the image, which isn't exactly great. Again, as you can tell, the source isn't exactly trying to hold the camera still or level. It does make me think that the stabilization may not be as good as the iPhone or even the Vivo X70 Pro Plus, which has like a built-in gimbal, kind of crazy, but it's hard to tell without doing a direct side-by-side. Either way, I hope the video and stabilization ends up looking better than what this pre-production footage shows here. So what do you think of the curved screen and the camera samples? Again, remember these are pre-production software samples from someone that's just using the camera willy-nilly. Let me know what you think in the comments and in the This Is Tech Today community Discord chat server. There's a link for that in the description next to the link for NordVPN. Thanks for watching This Is Tech Today. Until next time.
of them.